NSCAA has brought you high emotion and action-packed goals from Bradley to Maryland to Santa Barbara and all points in between. On Friday, we were in Binghamton for an America East tilt. We'll look back at that game and the rest of the men's college soccer scene in this week's edition of the NSCAA Men's College Soccer Review. Hello, everybody. I'm Dean Linke along with Keith Dabassic. Welcome to the Bearcat Sports Complex. We're on the campus of Binghamton University, a big-time America East tilt. Binghamton and Boston U, a couple of BUs going at it, and these two teams have met in the 4 of the last 6 America East Tournament Championship games. They know each other pretty well.
Yeah, they do, Dean, and actually it's a very big game for both of them, and that's obviously overused a lot, but the fact is the America East is a very tight conference this year, and it's not going to take much to win it in terms of the fact that it's only going to be 1 or 2 points that could be the difference. I think these coaches know that. They're both coming off a loss this week and need to rebound for sure.
Listen, everybody knows the job Neil Roberts has done in 25 years at BU, but how about Paul Marco and just 8 seasons, been to the last 6 tournament championship games?
Yeah, I think it's an excellent job. And Paul, was with West Virginia in the Big East Conference where, again, every single game is a battle in there. Now, again, with the America East, it's the same thing. He's certainly done a great job. The players here, they play for him. It's a group that really wins as a team together for sure.
Now, before we look at the top 25, confusion abounds. Why? Well, the RPI is out. Keith, I can't make hide nor hair of this, but try to break it down for us.
Well, as best I can, because it's a mathematics formula, which means I'm kind of out of the loop in it. But basically, it takes 25% of what your record is, it takes 50% of your opponent's record, and it takes 25% of your opponent's record. So in many ways, 75% of the RPI is not exactly, your record. But what it is, it's just come out for the first time this year. It comes out every couple weeks. And, a lot of people are talking about it because there were some surprises there. I don't think people thought that maybe Northwestern, who's #1 in the RPI right now, they're 6-1-4. Certainly they've only lost 1 game. But people say, too, well, look, there's 5 games on the right sides of that column, just 6 wins. So some people talking about that. Akron is #2, the one that I think everyone thought would be #1. They're 11-0, making a run of things. There are 3 ACC teams in the top 10, including, by the way, George Tarantini's NC State.
Can you believe that?
They had, 8-2-1, and they probably deserve to be there. But then you look at some of the teams, and I think people are a little surprised. You have DePaul is at number 18 right now, and no disrespect to you, Craig Glazer, because you're doing a great job there, but you're 7-5, and you think that, out of 12 games, you would need more than 7 wins to be that high up. And then you're looking at some other teams, too, like, Louisville, for example, who, I think is a tournament team. They're 8-1-2, and Louisville is down at 48 in the RPI. So, the big thing, though, about the RPI, it does change a lot, but it has really gotten coaches talking this year with this first one coming out.
Well, let's see how the RPI compares to the NSCAA Top 25 as we roll to it. Keith Dabassic, there they are, the Akron Zips, Caleb Porter, unbelievable job.
Yeah, well, they keep rolling. Like I said, they're 11-0. They had a big 2-0 win over ACC team, Virginia Tech, midweek.
Tar Heels, UC Santa Barbara, UCLA, Wake Forest, and how about Harvard?
Yeah, well, Harvard had a tough one midweek. They're up 6th ranked. They're 8-2-1 now because they lost 4-0 at Connecticut.
Sasso Soroski's got Maryland at #9.
Yeah, they've bounced back. They had a tough 2-1 win at Georgetown. They went up 2-0. Georgetown scored a goal right before the half and then was all over them second half but couldn't score. Maryland sits at 8-3-1 with a game at Clemson.
And Cal joins UCLA in the top 10.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, you say Cal and UCLA, well, that's the big matchup tonight. That is probably one of the marquee games of the weekend. California 8-3-0.
All right, let's flip the chart, and there they are, George Tarantini's Wolfpack at NC State.
Yeah, they had a 2-0 win midweek over Georgia Southern. Big game this weekend with Wake Forest.
All right, how about UConn? They tied West Virginia on Saturday in a game that was rained out on Friday, then came up big.
It is big, and that tie actually is the only game in the last 6 that they haven't won, and everything's been shut. They haven't been scored on in six games, but a 4-0 win over Harvard midweek.
Got to take a look at number 19, Drake Y. Well, we'll see them on Friday in the package.
Yeah, and they had a big Valley Conference victory over Creighton, 1-0 midweek. They're 8-3-1 right now.
And Dartmouth at 20.
Yeah, Dartmouth playing UPenn. Those were the 2 teams that were co-champions of the Ivy League last year. Dartmouth sitting at 7-2-1.
All right, when you flip the chart for the final 5, Duke stays at 21, Portland at 22. Then Mike Freitag, after losing to Butler, they go into Ann Arbor, beat Michigan. Then they smoke Notre Dame 3-0.
Yeah, the thing about beating Notre Dame, it was at Notre Dame, and I think this is a real message to Bobby Clark and his team. They need to be getting some wins now, going on a run to be in the mix at the end. But a big win for Mike Freitag, 3 3-0 at Notre Dame. They're 7-4-1.
And Joe Pa, not the only old-timer at Penn State. How about Barry Gorman?
Yeah, well, Barry Gorman with a win over Lafayette, 2-0 midweek. Barry Gorman there at 24 in the country at 8-3-2.
All right, we had the RPI, we had the rankings. Let's get even more confused here and talk about the NCAA Division I men's soccer regional conference alignment.
Yeah, well, there's eight region alignments in the country, and the first one being that we're looking at the Northeast Conference. They all have two, three, or four teams in it, and we'll just take a look at maybe one group in it. The Big East Conference, UConn and Louisville went at the top of their respective conferences divisions at 5-1-1. With the Mid-Atlantic Conference, you have the Patriot League. They tied West at American University, 2 overtime wins in a row. They're 3-0 in conference. And why is that big? Because Bucknell and Lafayette are right behind them. We have them in a couple weeks. In the South, you have the Atlantic Sun Conference. Campbell right now leading that with a 3-0-1 conference record. And at the Great Lakes, it's the Mid-American we're going to look at. That's Akron and Hartwick, by the way, tied at 3-0-0.
All right, let's flip the chart to the North Atlantic, South Atlantic, Midwest, and Far West.
Yeah, and in the North Atlantic, you look at the Northeast Conference, and that's the one we've been talking about. You know, with Monmouth, they're still unbeaten, and they're 4-0-1 in conference. The South Atlantic Conference, now let's talk about the Atlantic Coast. They're split with the South Atlantic and the South, but in the South Atlantic right now, the Atlantic Coast Conference, North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and University of Maryland are at first place in 3-1-1 records. And then in the Missouri Valley, we just talked about it with Drake. Drake is 3-0 with Evansville, who's on TV next week, the two teams right behind him at 3-2. Then we go to the Far West region, the West Coast Conference. Hey, let's talk about San Diego. They're 3-0 in conference. They're having a great season right now. And, of course, the team we've seen on the air a couple times this year, UC Santa Barbara, 4-0 leading the Big West Conference.
Here's another reason why this works. They funnel them all in for the final players of the year, but also for the players of the week as we take a look now at the NSCAA Men's Player of the Week. How about Marco Maggione from Towson? Scored 3 goals and wins over George Mason and an upset win over number 20 Old Dominion.
Yeah, I tell you what, it runs in the family with Marco Maggione. His father, Nick Maggione, a great player for Loyola College in the years, and Marco right behind him with that, playing for Towson. 3 goals. Congratulations, Marco.
And here in Binghamton, in a big-time America East matchup, the Binghamton Bearcats knock off the Boston University Terriers by a score of 2-1. Dean Linke back with Keith Tabatsnik to wrap it up. And I'll tell you what, we knew it was going to be a big-time matchup, America East style. Both teams delivered.
Yeah, they sure did. They gave us an exciting game, and this was end-to-end from the beginning. I mean, this game could have been 3-2, 4-3, 3-3. There was a lot of chances there. Definitely exciting game tonight, Dean.
And when we roll to the highlights, you're going to see some interesting chances. A defensive lapse, though, by Boston hurt him early.
No, absolutely. And here they're going, trying to head the ball back. It was soft, and he's trying to hold him on. But it's Jake Keegan for Binghamton coming in, scoring his 3rd goal of the year, giving them an early lead for Binghamton. But I'll tell you, look at that. Bustamante answering back, giving the ball to Aaron O'Neill for his 9th goal of the year. They answered right away. It's 1-1. Ben Berube trying to score at the end of the first half. He was all over the place, but Stenton making the save for Binghamton. Then in the second half, this is Zobre hitting this cross in, and it goes off. It's Colin Henry trying to get it. It's Walter at the end of it after it came off of Keegan's side, and it's Walter with the hero now, scoring the game-winning goal, his 1st goal of the year, and it was a big one.
What a great game. And, of course, this program, the NSCAA Men's College Soccer Review, is brought to you by the NSCAA. To learn more about the NSCAA, go to nscaa.com.